One of the most important questions in a bear market is how far in are we, right? And of course, comparing to previous bear markets, how do we compare? So in this video, I'm going to talk about a few different topics, including some coins, of course, where we are and why I'm so absolutely buzzing right now, because not many realize that money is made at these times when it's absolutely quiet. It's all quiet in the Western front. Now, the biggest profit that I took was back in July, August of 2025. Why was that? There is a video and an alert I put out into the Discord where I've said, guys, I'm liking what I'm seeing with alts after being absolutely depressed post inauguration, Liberation Day, all of that. And that 30% that I took is now going to be bigger than my previous portfolio. And I'm going to prove this to you. So first of all, let's have a look at this. So 2017 high, if you look at this specific data range, we were in a bear market for something in the region of 336 days eventually, right? To the low of the market. You can actually see kind of came out around December 2018, of course, had some recovery, and it's not a straight, because it's a 4-year cycle, it's not a straight gung-ho event that you experience. Sometimes from bear to bull, you could be looking at around an average of 3 years between the bottom, accumulation year, of course, and then here we go again. So you do have time. Now, what beats everything else in this market is how long you spend in this market. So time inside the market is always going to be better than some people just capitulating, leaving, and right now looking for an entry further down the line. It doesn't work like that, because if we could do that comfortably, it would also mean you could time the top. And we know that's not possible. So let's go back to the 2021 top. So we had a double top here, and it took us literally for the recovery year around pretty much on average 360 to about 400 days, whoever you talk to. But I will probably say 385 days was the next, peak to trough. And then we look at this cycle, right? 2025 cycle. So from peak to trough, what we've had is a crazy Bitcoin rally, really, with no alts. So this is why there's such a disconnect in terms of the alt space. But if we look at the amount of time that we've peaked, right? So if we look at the let's go to the 26,000 level. On average, 26 was the top. So if we go from 26K here to where we are today, it means we have so far, and this is very important, been in this bear market for 140 days. That answers a lot in terms of your strategy. It means we are almost just under halfway through, or just under halfway to the point where we've been in the previous bear market. So we do still have another, if we go out and think that we are going to bottom around, in my opinion, I think 48,000 is a strong psychological number. But if we come out to around, on average, 385 days or 80 days, we go to $49,000, we still have, we have some time left. So you can see here, we should be able to start picking up again in the crypto market, of course, around about September, October 2026. That's a long time, right? So you have to understand why this is going to be life-changing for you. This is the most significant analysis that you're going to get on a basic level visually if you are going to be in this market to make life-changing money. And to make life-changing money, you just have to have the belief. If you don't have the belief that crypto is dead, if you don't have the belief that crypto is dead for now, but it will be back, then you're in the wrong game. So here's what I expect to do. So I've given you Another weird thing to look at is the 2017 peak was the 2021 floor, okay? More or less. So 2027 peak, 2021 floor. It's insane. 2021 peak, so far, we are at around the 2025, 2026 floor. Interesting. Does it break down from here further? Of course, but the distance to travel is not that long from where we are. Pretty significant chart, especially if you are considering remaining in this market. And it has changed my life. I do this full time. I do it 24/7. I love what I do. I'm coaching my family on those that are left, the few soldiers that are in the trenches. We're looking at AI. That's going to impact you, your family, and everything else. And you are about to make, in my opinion, not a financial advice here, but I've been buying certain things that people aren't even looking at. So it's best to be in this market when there's no eyes. When you hear a pin drop, these are the absolute catalyst of why the market remains to reward those participants that are here in the long run. Now, it's funny. Where are we in terms of this Wall Street cheat sheet, the psychology of a market cycle? This is going to be very important for you to understand and to implement. And I do believe by looking at this, by visualizing this, you start to understand where we fit in this greater jigsaw. Now, of course, nobody exactly knows. This is a random, accuracy. It's incredible how it plays out, but the psychology is there. You top, euphoria, complacency comes in. We'll cool off for the next rally. Anxiety, we're getting margin calls. What's going on? This dip is making longer than expected. Then we drop down, and then, of course, denial. My investments are with great companies. They will be back, of course. Then we get into, oh shit, everyone is selling. I need to get out. But look how close we are to the bottom. Capitulation comes. I'm getting 100% out of this market. I can't afford to lose more, or I will write everything off at 90% plus. And that's what we've been seeing. Panic selling on the next pump. Sell everything, get out, of course. Then who shorted the market? Anger stage. Why did this happen? Now, we were already at that level back in just after euphoria for Bitcoin, really. Nothing for alts. For me, alts were in their euphoric phase, July and August. And the reason for that was a macro liquidity movement by the Fed after coming off the March lows. Then we went into the whole, ETFs, not the ETFs, the end of QT. And that is where these opportunities have been presented to us, in my opinion. So whether you're looking at projects like this, where in our VIP Discord, what we have already, and I don't mind sharing it with people here, what we have already, guys, is levels. It's all about levels, right? What's the plan? Where's the October candle? 57 cents. What are we doing in terms of DCA? Well, we need to plot certain buys at certain levels. 92 cents. Is it cheap enough? Well, people, I know investment funds. I have Wells in my group with over $15 million of investments in projects like Sui. And they're not bunching a little bit because some of these have actually bought Sui at $4 or $5. The investment funds that I'm talking about have an average Sui price of around $3.75. So the retailer is not being caught out alone. I think the market makers, everybody is scrambling. Coinbase's announcement recently for their, I think it was their worst ever performance, 600 million plus losses. So this market's going to be rigged at one point, and that point comes when you look at the things like this, when you have clarity, when you have vision, and when you have targets. Okay, it's not about so much about projects now. It's what you can pick up with $100, $500, $300 there. It's a great time to be alive. And if we consider that there's going to be another 150 days of whatever, right? rallies, drops, drop to the lows. That is going to be a critical time for you to really understand what's going to drive Bitcoin's next leg down. Now, essentially, what we might see happening is a bit like an ABC, where obviously, we come up. I'm looking at the lot bigger time frame. We pump up a little bit. We clear liquidity around these levels, 74, 75. Some are saying, it's below anything below $100,000 is a possibility for a relief rally, get everybody in, and then boom, trap them some more. But I do have this green area of around $48,000 is where the ETFs really kicked off. And we could be swimming here for a bit before we start to go up eventually. So assets. I've just shown you what we're doing with SUI. Of course, the ecosystem. And there was a massive news drop today. Fed minutes came. It showed that the Fed is more divided than ever. Several participants at the Fed meeting said they will either cut rates or would like to be appropriate if inflation was to decline in line with their expectations. However, the disagreement ran quite deep. This is their, this was their January meeting minutes. Characterizations to positions altering between some, few, or many. These are key. The majority said they anticipated that inflation will drop over the year, although the pace and the timing of the decline remain uncertain. They've acknowledged the effects of the tariffs, prices, and so on and so forth. Most, however, caution the progress towards the committee's 2% target might be slower and more uneven than generally expected. Of course, the risk of inflation running persistently above the committee's objective. Then, of course, we've got a major buildup of U.S. forces. Make no mistake. I mean, this could really send oil prices absolutely skyrocketing. But we come back to one thing: what is your plan? What are you doing? And in terms of this overall bit here, how can we benefit from this? It is widely recognized as a framework or a map of emotional stages where investors are typically experiencing throughout a complete market cycle, and we've seen all of these. Disbelief is early phase of recovery, and many are afraid now you may miss the disbelief rally. So early recovery phase following a market low, rising prices are met with skepticism, and many dismiss the upturn. Is it sustainable? Hopium, optimism, growing confidence as gains become more consistent. Investors begin to believe in the rallies again. We're seeing that, right? Eventually, this is going to be an extension of this would be, in my opinion, from disbelief to a market recovery. But most market participants would obviously say, bullshit, not having it. Thrill, start to bid, you become 200, 300, 400% in profit. And of course, these accelerated returns, investors feel invincible all over again. Peak sentiment, widespread FOMO, drive maximum risk-taking, leverage, often making the top of the market. Interesting observation is how different it really was this time. Okay, so in my opinion, ecosystems, in order to print more SUI down the line, I'm looking at basically the 7-day range here is as accurate as it could get. But if we're going to have a $30 asset, $20 asset, it's very, very important for me right now to go shopping. So I've bought a little $100 of Lofi, 30,000 tokens rather. But if we look at this, some of the stuff that could be coming our way, and the timelines, we don't have forever to be around here, but you have decent projects. You've got the likes of SUI, you've got Walrus, you've got Deepbook, $70 million. It's going to come down some more. Great. There's always referred to the guy when I said to this guy, Toshi is going to be coming to $50 million. It was like, bullshit, man. It's not going. but it really is a time to have a sit back, make your thoughts very clear. Most crypto is BS. However, if you could tag along to a narrative, you are going to make crazy, crazy life-changing gains with no promises. No one is promising you. It's just about having a short list. And of course, like I said to people today in the community, for example, we look at Toshi, right? Toshi is absolutely one of my favorite meme coins. Why? Because Toshi is Brian Armstrong's cat. Simple. But where it gets complicated is, what does it do? Right? It has utility, granted. But actually, Toshi's dad is Brian Armstrong. And in my opinion, they've just got their Toshi handle. So what I expect to see as eyes turn away, I expect to see the face of base to catch real attraction and bring more people into the ecosystem. Believe me, this is how the exchanges make their money. And when you look at what they're saying here, right, just to give you a throwaway, look at this, right? Look how close they are to their ecosystem. I'm not saying this is my biggest conviction. I'm not saying this is what you go and buy. I'm not saying any of that. This is not even financial advice. Grateful to Base, Coinbase, Jesse Pollack for helping us secure at Toshi Twitter handle. It wouldn't be possible without the support of everyone involved. Interesting. Okay. Well, no one's looking at this. I don't care. I want this at around $20 million market cap. I've already made crazy money with Toshi first time round, but I'm happy to wait. Is it a priority right now? Probably not. I want to put more money into the Bitcoin of AI, into Sui blockchain, because I do believe next time they run that, they'll run it consistently. But the point is this: bid when others are not looking in this space. And right now, with absolutely no noise at all, nothing, this is the time that I'm going to set my offspring free. In my opinion, when I first came into crypto, lost 90%. Came back in. One, changed my life, diversified into a business. Set myself up over here in the crypto capital of the world in Dubai and the UAE. But I never wanted to leave. The reason why, if you are willing to pay, $1,000 for an asset and now it's worth $100, is that asset really worth it? Well, you got to look at the fundamentals. Where does it fit in your attempts to liberate yourself? I hope you liked the video. A lot of good advice there, guys. And of course, as always, nothing I say is financial advice. But to many of you celebrating Ramadan Mubarak. Good night, guys. Take care.